Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mindset Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Chris Abbott, and today we're diving deep into one of the most transformative concepts you'll ever encounter: changing your personal identity. As taught in Neville Goddard's profound work, The Power of Awareness. If you're ready to stop living by default and start creating your life by design, then this episode is for you. Now, when we hear the word identity, most of us think of our name, our job, our family role, the roles we basically play in our lives. But your true identity goes far deeper. According to Neville Goddard, your identity is the sum total of your assumptions, your beliefs about who you are, and what you believe is true for you. And here's the kicker, guys. Your external world is a direct reflection of those internal assumptions. Think about that. Your outside world is a reflection of your inside world. So what you think and focus on and what you believe to be true for yourself is what you will manifest and what is showing up all around you. And there's good news here, guys, because that doesn't mean that what you're seeing, especially if you don't like it, is here to stay. There's no permanence to what we can accomplish or manifest in our life. We just have to realize that we are the creators of our reality, okay? And what we need to do is we need to change your assumptions. And once you do change these assumptions that you hold about yourself or the blueprint that you're operating from, your entire life begins to shift. So what is identity? Well, Goddard teaches that consciousness is the only reality. And that means whatever you are conscious of being, you will express. And if you see yourself as someone who always struggles, someone who's unlucky, or someone who doesn't get the breaks in life, then guess what? That belief system shapes your reality. But if you begin to accept the new identity, which I can tell you is not an easy thing to do, it's going to require work, and you have to sit down and actually use your greatest gift, which is your imagination, to forge an identity of the person you want to be without limit. And by that, I mean you can't let what happened in the past, whether it be past results, past failures, past traumas, or past beliefs, root you into the state of homeostasis where you never move forward in life. And then you resign yourself to accepting this current reality, which you actually hate, because we're either growing or dying, guys. And if you're going to be stagnant and remain in a steady state all the time and keep reaffirming these manifestations or these results you're seeing all around you, then you're never going to change. So you've got to be willing and ready to accept the new identity and put the work in. So let's say that you are confident, abundant, and loved. Then your world must begin to organize itself around that belief. It's not magic, it's just awareness. So I want you to examine, guys, some of these thoughts that you're holding on to for yourself. And, if you're living someone else's reality of the version of you that you have never, ever once questioned or stopped to say, is this really me? Is this really consciously who I have chosen to be in my life? And if you don't like what you see in the mirror or what you're experiencing in life, then guess what, guys? You can change it. We're one of the only, species in the animal kingdom in the universe that can actually change the direction of our lives through our imagination. And I love that saying by Einstein. He used to say that our imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. Think about that, guys. How many times have you actually thought about what you want? You use the power of visualization to step into that idea actually being real and happening, or had a phenomenal dream where everything just went exactly as you wanted, and then you actually manifest that in your life. This is the reality of what we can do when we utilize our higher intuition the way it was supposed to be used. And unfortunately, most of us use our higher power of intuition to put that into fear, worry, doubt, and all these assumptions about things not going the way we want, versus putting that same power into creating a mental mold, if you will, of exactly and precisely what you want. So when we talk about the power of assumption, one of the core teachings in the power of awareness is the law of assumption. And Goddard says that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And there's another author, Wayne Dyer, who I'm sure borrowed this from Goddard, is wishes fulfilled. And that's basically means that you must live in your imagination by visualizing from the place where your desire is already true. You want to change your identity? Well, you must become that version of yourself first in consciousness. So maybe not in reality yet, but basically what will happen is you will picture it in your mind as being true. You will picture all the things that you're looking at doing as becoming your reality. And then from there, it's a matter of actually implementing that. Sorry, I had a little technical issue there. So if you want to be something, you've got to do something, right? And you've got to picture it in your mind and step into that reality. So if, for example, you want to be a successful entrepreneur, stop identifying as someone who's trying to get there. Because when you do that, when you think, when I get there, you're actually reinforcing or impressing upon your subconscious mind that you have a fear of not being enough, or that you lack what you need to get there. So you need to actually start assuming the identity of someone who already is, okay, a successful entrepreneur. Speak like them, move like them, think like them. And what you assume to be true of yourself becomes true, because you actually step into the role of what it is you're trying to do, this identity we're talking about, okay? So that leads us to changing your self-concept. And this is where most people get stuck. They try to change their life without changing how they see themselves. And you can take all the action in the world, but if you're still seeing yourself as the old you, those efforts will self-sabotage. So just like a moth going to the flame is willing to burn up and just to experience the flame, you have to be willing to burn the current version of yourself, burn the boats, walk away, let it go, reinvent yourself. And that old you has to die in order for the new one to blossom and come to fruition. So you can't, be two versions of yourself at the same time. And if you want to actually step forward into this new life and this new way of thinking and this new way of being, you've got to be ready to let go of the current version of yourself. So how do we change our current self-concept? Well, one, we become aware of your inner dialogue. So I want you to become aware of what you're telling yourself about who you are. And I want you to look at that, and I want you to ask yourself if it's true or if it's not. And if it is true, what were the circumstances around that? And is that something that's presently affecting you today? Or are you carrying something around with you that was a circumstance in your life from years ago, perhaps? And you're in an entirely different place. I don't know about you guys, but my 17-year-old version of myself is not my 54-year-old version of myself. And I'm glad of that, because I've actually changed, I've grown, I've evolved, I've got wisdom now, I've learned from my experiences. But what I didn't do was decide to live in all my trauma or my failures or all my setbacks. I just refused to do that. And it took me a lot of work to get to the place where I was able to do that. But let me give you an example. That would be like feeling financially like you don't have enough, and looking at your bank account and not liking what you're seeing, and using that current state of the situation to predict what is possible for you in the future. There's no correlation there, guys. Your present results are simply a reflection of your past thinking and doing. I'll say that again. Your current results in your life are a result of your previous thinking and beliefs and actions and behaviors. So what you did 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago is the garden for what created your present results. So it's like when people tell me they want to release weight. Like, I don't say lose weight, because then your brain will tell you to find it back. If you're on a diet and you wanted to change your health and you want to release 30 pounds, well, people get so impatient and they think, well, I've been dieting and I've been watching and I've been working out and I'm only down 6 pounds. And it's like, well, guys, it took years to accumulate that 30 pounds and you're expecting to lose it overnight. So understand that you have to go through an evolutionary process to make these changes, but it's raising your awareness, raising your consciousness, and monitoring and checking in on your feedback constantly. How am I doing? Do I need to course correct? Am I slipping back? Am I falling into old behaviors and patterns? And it's a constant focus on doing that. And that's why journaling, for example, is so effective, because it allows you to have this internal dialogue, which you then put pen to paper with, and you can actually see, feel, and start to get really associated with where your mindset and your thinking's at. So step 2 here is we must create a new assumption. We've got to write it down. Just like I said, journal it, speak it, visualize it, feel it as real. You have to feel it before you can experience it. And the way we do that is we do it through visualization. And we write it out and we sit and we picture it. So if we want to craft a new future for ourselves, we kind of have to put ourselves there before we actually go there. And on this point, what I would say is I want you to look around the room you're in, or if you're in a car right now listening to this on your podcast, anything you see around you has been created twice. So say that again. Anything around you that you see has been created twice. It was first created in someone's mind, and then it was created and manifested in reality, right? So whether you realize it or not, all of your results are a reflection or a representation of your past thoughts and thinking. So I'll give you an example there too. It's like if you're going to go give a speech somewhere and all you focus on is that you're going to screw up, you're going to stutter, you're going to forget your material, you're going to look foolish. Well, guess what? Probably odds are, as Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you can't, it's true. And if you put those thoughts in your mind and you do it with enough emotion and strength, then probably odds are you are going to screw up, versus visualizing like champions do, everything going your way, accounting for all the potential missteps or obstacles, pre-visiting those and having a method or an idea or a solution already there. So if a client gives you an objection when you're trying to do a sales process, you've already visualized this. You've already visualized yourself dealing with that objection precisely, perfectly. You've got it dialed in and you manage that no problem, and you expect that, and you already understand how to navigate your way through and around that. And it just, when you're in the moment, in reality, it just flows so seamlessly because you've already been there and done it, right? So sometimes if I set a big goal for myself and I achieve it, and let's say it's a material object I want as a reward, or I set a challenge for myself, I'll have a friend say, wow, you must have felt like so amazed that you were able to do that or achieve that. And I just kind of laugh. I say, no, actually, I wasn't at all, because this was expected. And I don't know if you can relate to that, guys, when you've had such a burning desire for something, to, whether it's a sporting event or a personal accomplishment, or whether it's achieving some form of mastery in music, whatever it is, guys. When you get there, you feel like, no, this wanted me as much as I wanted it, and this was meant to be. So there's almost like a sense of satisfaction, but it's not a sense of surprise, right? And that's where I want you to get, where you visualize your new identity and your new outcomes and your new results so thoroughly, so strongly that it just resonates to the point where you become that which you believe, right? So you must persist in this new state. That's step 3. And even when the outer world doesn't reflect it, yet, and I say yet, because you're going to keep showing up as the new version of yourself. And as Goddard says, you must remain faithful to your assumption. That is the work. It's the work that's required to get from point A to point B, while all your friends and your family say, who do you think you are? What's going on with you? Why aren't you seem like you've changed and things are different now. And that's what's going to cause you a lot of problems, is because they're going to try to pull you back. They're not doing it out of anything other than, if you change, then they start to feel like you're pulling away, and maybe it makes them question some of what they're doing, and it's uncomfortable. So you need to remain faithful to your assumption of things coming together, even if your outer world doesn't reflect it. And that's the hardest part, because like I said, you keep showing up, but the results don't want to appear and you get frustrated, okay? So what's next? The identity shift in action. So let me share a quick example from my own coaching work. I had a client who saw himself as often as the case, not good enough. I put that in quotes. And despite having a great resume, great talent, and an amazing drive to succeed, his external life mirrored this. He could never land the job he wanted, and relationships were always shaky, and he felt stuck. So raise your hand if you feel stuck and you can identify with this, because we've all been there at some point. Some of us, unfortunately, never get past that, and that's why we're taking in this kind of material, guys, because we don't want to be stuck. So what happened? Well, he and I worked together to shift his identity, and he started to assume daily that he was worthy, capable, and destined for success. And slowly, opportunities started appearing in his life. Interviews led to offers. His confidence grew. And you might say, well, what changed? Well, he did. His identity shifted. He was doing the mind work to visualize, create, and reaffirm everything he knew he really was and what he wanted so powerfully and with emotion, and pressing it on his subconscious, that he became the person that didn't have to chase success. He attracted it by the person he had become. So here's your takeaway today, guys. Don't chase outcomes. Don't chase success. Attract it. And do that by embodying a new identity of the person that has and does everything you want. Because you've got to remember, guys, like I said, your outer world is simply the echo of your inner state. And as Neville Goddard says, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. So you don't need to work harder. You need to become someone new, and that begins in your awareness. So, in closing, guys, I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of The Mindset Advantage with Chris Abbott. And if this has resonated with you, please share it with a friend, leave a review, or connect with me on social media. And if you're ready to dive deeper into reshaping your mindset in your life, check out my coaching services at Instagram at Chris Abbott Mindset Coach. And until next time, guys, remember, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you really are. So get out there and live with purpose and change your story.